It can always get worse. It can always get worse, and it did today.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did.
No, it didn't.
Oh, here we go.
This was
Already buckle into my seat.
How is this any worse than what we've seen in
their
the
points
past
per game went down.
They scored 9 points 2 weeks ago.
But that was their worst. It matched the worst.
Yeah, so it didn't get worse.
Well, on average, it was 15.
It was just as bad.
On average, it was 15.
Yeah, but 2 weeks ago was the worst, and it matched that. It didn't get worse.
You expect 15. This is disappointing.
It didn't get worse.
Their points per game got worse.
I will say, Russell will
They
score
scored 9 points 2 weeks ago. They scored 9 points tonight.
No, that's worse.
Today.
That's worse. Russell will score at least 13. I'm confident.
I
don't have much to go off of to say, yeah, I believe.
I truly believe it would have been better, but
13.
The what we learned today is that while Russ is a problem, and the way that he's played is a problem,
sure is.
Yeah,
it's pretty clear that it's not the problem.
I mostly agree.
I mean, part of the problem. Russ isn't the entire problem, of course.
Yep, but I think in my opinion, today we found out that the offense itself is a bigger problem than what Russell Wilson is doing within that offense.
Yes, I agree with that, but we can't also say that with a different offensive coordinator, different play caller, Russ would be like, great. We can't come to that farther conclusion.
You know what we can say? We're presented by DraftKings Sports.
Oh, that's a good thing to say.
Assist to Allie. Anyone else, I'm sure, in the comments got it. Oh, only assist to Allie. No hockey assist here.
Yeah, I got you.
Shout out DraftKings Sportsbook. Use the code DNVR when you sign up to get in on lots of great deals. I had the under today, so that seems to always work out.
You felt like that was a lock right when the game started.
Yep, two punts.
Yep.
The Jets punted to the Broncos. I think they took 23 seconds off the clock. I was like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, the Broncos had, I think, multiple drives under a minute today.
Crazy.
So, to circle back, I guess what my main point is, I think at this point it's fair to say if the offense was better, Russell Wilson would be playing better.
Yeah.
And rather than Russell Wilson dragging down the offense, I think it's more likely that the offense is dragging down Russell Wilson.
I think what I think is fair to say is Russ is part of the problem, but not the entire problem.
Yes.
Because we just don't know that from the other side. Nathaniel Hackett would have to be fired, and someone else would have to come in, change the offense up, and call plays for us to be able to say that.
And the other piece of it is, like, you can't say, oh, the offense is terrible because the backup quarterback didn't put up big numbers. There's that piece, too.
I was just about to get to that. I would normally give a coaching staff a break for a backup quarterback starting. But when it looks so similar, just a little bit worse, and a lot of the same issues pop up, a lot of issues on the coaching staff, play calling, situational play calling, decision making, like the 58-yard field goal attempt, or 57, I think it was. I guess when the game ended, I wished I could go back and edit my answer for Broncos Roundtable or Broncos Pick'em this week, which was, if you could go back and change one thing from the offseason, what would it be? My answer was the Russell Wilson extension. I said for a few reasons, including the fact that even if you wanted to keep him, you get him at a discount now.
True.
But now I want to go back. I would not hire this coaching staff. And to be honest, I think the biggest blunder, even bigger than hiring Nathaniel Hackett as the head coach, was Nathaniel Hackett bringing in the most inexperienced coaching staff in the league. And, you just think about what this team would look like with just like a really good veteran coaching staff who at least just knows how to keep things on the straight and narrow. And this thing just feels like it is a clown show at this point. It feels like they're just randomly pressing buttons. There's no identity. There's no, this is who we are, this is what we do. It's just like, all right, let's try this, let's try that. How many times did they throw the ball today?
46 times they dropped back and threw the ball. They had 1 sack, so 47 times. And Ryan, that's the most mind-baffling thing to me.
Yeah, earmuffs for the kids. What the fuck? Like, are you you get your backup quarterback in here, and your game plan, because remember, this thing wasn't getting away from them in any stretch of the mind. This was a one-score game all the way down to the very last play.
Yep.
And you decide to sling it around with Brett Rippon. Look, I know the running backs weren't great.
And that's the big thing.
But come on. You have to commit to the run. You have to lean into it. You have to try to get this thing going all night long when you have your backup quarterback in. If it was Russell Wilson, I would say, okay, running backs couldn't get anything done. You kind of had to lean on Russell Wilson. But your thought was, okay, we're going to kind of have to lean on Brett Rippon?
Yeah,
give me a break.
That was kind of their way of Nathaniel Hackett maybe trying to show, look, it's not me, it's Russ. And clearly, we did not come away from this game thinking that. Yeah, that's the worst part of this game in Nathaniel Hackett's view, in my opinion, is 47 passing attempts when, like you said, Ryan, it was a game all the way till the very last play. Now, on that very last play, sure, throw the ball. It's 4th and 10. You might as well. But
how about not just chucking it up to the end zone on Sauce Gardner? On all of the biggest plays of the game.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, really bad play designs, really poor execution by Rip to go to him. I hope for Nathaniel Hackett's sake, Rip wasn't the number one option. And so I'm happy that we got all of this on the coaching staff out there, because that's a massive, maybe the biggest issue with this team right now. But another week goes by and another really bad black eye for George Paton, because the coaching staff is on him.
True.
But look at the offense. It's not just a quarterback that's inept. This team, we're like, who's the number one? Is it Tim Patrick? Is it Cortland Sutton? Is it Jerry Jeudy? These guys, they could all be 1,000-yard receivers. Yep. For back-to-back weeks now, Cortland Sutton has not showed up to the game. Jerry Jeudy actually had a nice game today statistically, but I mean, he's been underwhelming. Tim Patrick's obviously hurt. The offensive line is in total shambles, and now there has been injuries, sure, but we were saying how deep this team was, and everyone was getting so much praise to George Paton for building the deep team. No, this offense is just, I mean, you look out there, and if you are honest with yourself, the talent is so underwhelming.
It's bad.
And I hate to go to the injury route, but it does matter. Javonte Williams is extremely talented. Tim Patrick is very talented. You know, some of your offensive linemen are at least more talented than the ones that you have out there right now. So I think that would make...
I mean, on the offensive line, you're missing Garrett Bowles.
Yep.
I mean, you had Cush, you had Dalton, you had Quinn.
He's your second most talented offensive lineman, though, behind Quinn.
Yep. But, I mean, you're only missing one offensive lineman. Go through the NFL. How many teams are missing one offensive lineman?
Of course. I'm just saying that the overall talent on the offense has definitely taken a hit. You thought that Russell Wilson would elevate all of those players, and obviously that hasn't happened at all. And, you know, again, I would go back to, I think the offense is pulling all of those players down and maybe the play calling. But your point stands. Separation isn't there. The line can't hold up even for like nice play designs. Today there's like this cool double deep cross thing. Both of the crossers ended up coming open way down the field. Can't get it off. So it's like it's just a calamity of errors, and it is a problem. Talent is a big problem right now.
But just to play devil's advocate, on the other side of the ball, you're missing a starting cornerback. You're missing a starting linebacker with Josie Jewell. You're missing Randy Gregory, your, I believe, highest paid defensive player, second highest maybe to Justin Simmons. They're right there. And your defense still goes out and balls out, and that's a credit to the depth on defense. Yep. It's also a credit to the coaching staff on the defensive side of the ball, and it's a credit to the starters that are still playing. So, I mean, what this all boils down to, it's no surprise to anyone. It's the offense, and what's so sickening and disappointing about it is this offense was supposed to be the savior this year. This was supposed to be Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett. This was supposed to be the combination that brought the team back to relevance, and it turns out that they're worse than any offense we've seen maybe ever through the first 7 games of a season. And I believe this is their worst start as a team, being 2-5, not in the past 6 years, in the past over a decade. You have to go back to 2011 since this team was 2-5 or worse through 7 games.
Playoffs.
Mind-blowing.
Playoffs.
They did.
I'll take Tim Tebow over any quarterback the Broncos have.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
With what he did that year.
At least he made big plays and big moments. Every single game has been a 3-point game or closer in the fourth quarter. Today held that true, and that tells me a few things. And the biggest one to me is the one that I've been harping on for the last few weeks since I think the Colts game. The team just doesn't know how to win. simply don't make, and really it's just offensively, but they simply don't make big plays in big moments.
Too,
the defense has, though, also had some of their worst moments in the biggest moments.
Yeah.
And that is just, it's a loser's disease. Losing is a disease, and they are deeply, deeply infected right now. And it's across the board, but it doesn't, I guess my biggest fear and my biggest worry, and I can't even call it fears and worries now because the season's basically over, but is that this coaching staff doesn't have the answers. They don't know where to turn. They don't know what button to press. And I really do feel like they're just button mashing right now, trying to see what can work, and nothing does. So, yes, talent is an issue. Injuries obviously have been an issue. Bad plays and bad moments on both sides of the ball have been an issue. But the worst part is I just don't think they have the answers. And that's what makes me feel most helpless about where the Broncos are right now.
And they can't run the football. Like, that's what it comes back to for me. Like, you just have to be able to find a way to run the ball, especially when you have a backup quarterback. Like, you can't ask, like you guys said, Brett Rippon to pass the ball 48 times. Just not going to work.
Insane.
But also, when Melvin Gordon has 11 carries for 33 yards and Latavius Murray has 8 carries for 24 yards, Mike Boone has 4 for 23, then he gets hurt. Like, you can't run the ball. Your quarterback is a backup, and your receivers have been disappointing. Your passing game in general has been disappointing all season. Like, that's not going to get fixed. Like, I don't know what you do. Like, what? You just keep running the jet sweeps and trick whatever's. The screens aren't working. You can't go with that anymore. I mean, I don't know if there is a button to press.
And the unfortunate thing is the defense has done a great job holding the Broncos in nearly every game.
There has to be a button to press to score 17 points a game.
And that's what I was going to say. With how inept the Colts offense was against the Broncos, how great the Broncos defense was against the Chargers offense, and how bad the Jets were. I mean, the Jets are a good, solid football team outside of their quarterback, who is just flat out bad, so bad. And he brought their team down so much today. I mean, he's looking like Madden out there. He's looking like a reckless Madden player out there. You're supposed to lose that game like 55-7 when you have that bad of quarterback play. Zach Wilson was so bad. And the Broncos offense was worse than that. And unfortunately, the Broncos defense got beat on 2 plays, really. Gave up 99 yards on 2 plays, and that was too much. The margin for error is 0 with this team. The defense gave up 2 big plays, including the 62-yard touchdown to Breece Hall, and that was it. That was the game. I think I joked with Henry at halftime, and I said, that's the go-ahead field goal right there when they went up 10-9. I thought it was a joke. It wasn't a joke. It
was a joke, all right.
The Jets didn't need to score again. Now they did, and went up 16-9, and that was it.
Second half offense: punt, interception, punt, turnover on downs.
Wow, so really, those punts were kind of bright spots.
Oh yeah, I got roasted on Twitter because I tweeted out 6 straight punts in the game and said "fair catch the fever," and seconds later, Brett Rippon threw an interception, and everyone's like, "Oh." You didn't want a punt. Here's what you get. Those are our options right now: punt or a turnover.
And that was a terrible throw. Like, that's one that just got confusing.
That was when I thought, "There's your proof. It can get worse."
Yes, exactly.
But Russell Wilson has lost them a game with 2 really bad picks too.
Also true.
So, but that was kind of my point going into this week, though. Is just like I feel like Russell Wilson can at least make somewhat smart decisions with the football as he has for the most part this season.
I think it would have been 17-13.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
See, and it doesn't really matter.
No.
And it shows that there's so many massive issues on the offensive side of the ball.
It's brutal. It's really brutal. One more thing I wanted to say on the offense. I forget. I did want to point. What?
Dulcich?
Not bad.
Not bad. Making some little catches down there.
I believe this is the 3rd straight Denver Broncos hire. Yes, I'm fairly confident in this. That has lost 4 games in a row in their first season.
Lost. Wow. Well, Vance did it.
Yep. Vic started 0-4.
Vic did, and and we're only 7 games in. What a time to accomplish it.
Yeah.
And the good news, bad news, who knows? Broncos are on a plane to London in 24 hours. They get to play the 2-5 Jets. Jags. Another kind of primetime game where the Broncos get to be 2-5 and play the 2-5 Jags. And this is just awful because likely the loser of that game is going to be the worst team in the AFC. The entire AFC.
How about your Jags?
Hey, how about your Colts?
Hey. Still better. 3-1, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, not bad. This is a disaster. It's an abject disaster on all fronts except for the defense.
It is worse than I could have ever imagined. I think
anyone, even the biggest Broncos hater in the world would not have looked at this team and said they're going to be 2-5, averaging 14 points a game. No way.
And let me remind you that this was the easy part of the schedule.
Yep.
The Broncos have one more easy game next week against the Jags. Even after the bye week, you can say, well, no, the Panthers is a win. I don't know. The Panthers look like a team that was playing with their hair on fire today. And
Old quarterbacks. Again.
True.
Yeah, Tom Brady,
Aaron Rodgers lost. Matt Stafford didn't play. Matt Ryan lost. So old quarterbacks were 0 for today, and Russ didn't play.
Not just old quarterbacks being 0 for. Matt Ryan, he put up 10 points. Jared Goff, not the oldest quarterback, he put up
Feels
6
old.
Plays
Plays
points.
old.
Definitely not old.
Plays old.
Isn't he 30-ish?
I
don't think so.
Okay, well, he put up
Plays old.
6 points. Tom Brady put up 3 points. Aaron Rodgers did put up 21 points.
Good job, Aaron.
Congratulations. And, I guess Russ didn't play, but 9 points for the Broncos. The Dolphins have been playing for 5 minutes and 29 seconds now. They almost have as many points as the Broncos.
Good for them.
Yeah, in about a 12th of the time. So that's all bad. But there's still many more Broncos games. And if you want to get to a Broncos game, go over to Game Time where they are going to have the tickets for you. Ticket prices are dropping. Now, maybe if you think the Broncos are going to turn this thing around in a little bit, Russ is going to come back healthy, whether it's next week or in 3 weeks from now, and be healthy. We'll buy your tickets for the rest of the season right now over at Game Time because, what is it? You're supposed to buy low, sell high. This is the time to buy low. So get in over at Game Time. Use our link in the description on YouTube, or if you're watching on or listening on podcast form, it's in the description. Click on that. It brings you all to the Broncos games right there. So you don't need to go searching for it, and it helps us out. So make sure to click on that link in our description.
Allie asked me what I wanted for dinner. I said I wanted a plate of knives.
That's
it was
actually
really
true.
intense.
Not lying.
Not an option, but an option. I could drink some Liquid Death, which sounds similar, but actually is delightful. Severed lime, the best in my opinion, but all of their flavors are amazing. I really like they have like a light carbonation to them, so it's super drinkable. Sometimes I feel like anything with carbonation doesn't actually quench my thirst.
Yep.
But Liquid Death legitimately does quench your thirst. Makes you feel hydrated. You get a little bit of flavor, little bubbles in there. It's delicious. I love Liquid Death, and you can check out where it is near you by going to liquiddeath.com/DNVR. You can get like 4 for $5 at some retailers. So liquiddeath.com/DNVR. Try it out. I've had a few people tweet at me saying you were right. Severed lime. It's amazing. Love the product. Love all of them.
Yep. I was actually at the tailgate today. I was drinking just like the normal water, and I was drinking it, and I was talking to Eric, and I told him, I was like, I just drank this and thought, wow, I could just drink this all day. And it's just water.
Yeah.
It's just water. But it's so
You
good.
should drink it all
It's
day.
so good. Yeah, you should. No, yeah, definitely. Liquid Death is awesome. But also, we're awesome. Get yourself a membership. Come on down to the bar. Get discounts there. Get discounts to come to the tailgates. Just come to the tailgates in general. If you're coming to London, buy those ticket packages that we have. You can go to Eventbrite. Just search DNVR London. It'll all pop up right there. But yeah, we're doing a lot of cool things. So even if the Broncos suck, we're going to have fun. So stick with us.
And don't forget that you can just go to the tailgate in London if you
True.
don't want to do the whole package. The tailgate will be so fun right before the game. And like we do out here in Denver, sometimes you got to enjoy the tailgate as much as you can because you might not be enjoying the product on the field. So
Yes, you
come down
do.
to the tailgate in London.
Like I said, as a Buffs fan, I've learned it. Now, the good news for the Broncos is I don't think it'll ever get as bad as where it is for the Buffs.
Broncos do have double the number of wins as the Buffs.
Yes, they do.
Wow, big time.
And they actually have a good defense.
And the same number of wins as Colorado State University.
Yes, good dub
Wow.
over Hawaii. Can I just quick? Zach's gonna hate this, but I just have to point out a couple things.
Oh boy.
One,
Love this.
that was a fumble. Should have been a touchdown. Broncos,
Yep.
I guess they would have had their 16 if that play is officiated correctly.
Oh man, I hate this segment right now.
It's not a segment. 2, Jerry Jeudy pass interference in the end zone should have been called. 3, Cortland Sutton pass interference in the end zone should have been called.
On the final play?
Yeah, not the final play, but the play before that.
Okay.
He had his hand inside of his shoulder pads.
Oh, really?
Yep, on the back, on the collar.
I haven't seen those. I can't speak to those.
Just brutal.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, you kind of have to earn
Yeah.
the benefit of the doubt from the refs. It's not necessarily fair, but it is the truth. Like they're just when you're just essentially like throwing up prayers, the refs usually aren't gonna call it, especially when you're a team like the Broncos.
So on the fumble, they must have thought that Zach Wilson's wrist was down on that, and that he was touched by Draymond Jones coming off the spin. We didn't get the best angles of it, so I couldn't see, but that's just what I have to imagine they saw, right?
I guess that's what they saw,
I
but
saw
it's
it,
not the wrist; it would be the forearm.
I think it was like literally like the wrist, not.
But that's not. You're not down. You can use your hand to keep
It
yourself
was like
up.
crooked though. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see what they saw.
My big thing is very poorly officiated play. Let the play play out, because even if they overturn that and give it to the Broncos, well, the Broncos are just going to stall out in the red zone anyway and end up with a field goal.
But it
So
didn't matter though. Like if they would have given that back, the poorly officiating you're saying wouldn't have mattered because
I don't think they would have overturned it. Is what I'm saying. If they called it the way that refs are taught to call it, which is let the play out, I don't think they would have gone back and said that isn't a fumble.
They let play out, didn't they?
No.
they blew it after the Broncos got it. But what I'm saying is the Broncos would have been down there.
Yeah.
Like they still would have said Zach Wilson was down. So it didn't matter that they did or didn't let the play out.
Why?
Well, they said stand, so whatever they called on the field would have stood.
Yeah. I'm
Otherwise,
saying
they
if
would
they
say
would have
confirmed.
called it a touchdown, they wouldn't have said there was enough evidence to overturn it.
Oh, they have to do what they think is right.
Yeah.
And they thought it
Yeah,
was right.
but they are coached to let it play out. The refs.
No, if they thought he was down, they would have just called him down, which is what they did.
Yes, but what I'm saying is in those situations, the referees are taught, let the play out, because then it's an automatic review.
I don't think they are though.
They are.
If they think he's down, they're gonna call him down.
But they kind of the play went, then they called him down. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Poorly officiated play.
Kind of along these lines, Broncos 4 penalties. So something went right for them today. Only 4 penalties for 34
Wow.
yards.
Hang
I
the
believe their
banner.
first penalty came in the second quarter. I believe
Yeah.
with 4 minutes left. So
Yeah.
improvement.
I thought the offensive line on the whole played a admirable game, considering the personnel that they had, the quarterback that they had. Not a lot of crushing penalties from that group. Obviously, it's not a plus group by any stretch of the mind, but I just thought with what they were dealing with, they actually did a decent job.
And I think it was kind of telling, not a surprise that Russell Wilson takes a lot of sacks that are on himself.
I should say in the pass game, they did a terrible job in the run game.
Yeah, and speaking of the pass game, not a surprise that Russ takes a lot of sacks on himself, but today kind of showed that. Brett Rippon, 1 sack today. Russell Wilson, I think it was entering this week, was like the 4th or 5th most sacked quarterback in the league. So that is something that you can put on Russ, though. But again, that's not a surprise. We kind of knew that from all of his years in Seattle.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, this is a big conversation in the comments. So let's bring it up. Buyers or sell? Well, I shouldn't even say that. If the Broncos sell, who's it going to be and what kind of value could they get?
Well,
Alberto is number 1 on the list. If you don't trade Alberto, then something's gone wrong.
Can you trade him, I guess would be the question. Is
I mean,
anyone willing to give anything?
If the Broncos are getting calls on him, then people are offering something, and it's not just the conditional 7th. Because if they were,
I think it's just a
exactly
conditional 7th. It's just a conditional
You think
7th.
so?
I don't know. If you
he's
get
been inactive the past 2 games. The
Well-
Broncos are saying he has no value. Well, we're gonna have Eric.
all you need is 2
Tomlinson
teams
and
to
Eric
believe that.
Saubert
All you need is 2
Exactly.
teams to believe he does have value to be able to get something
to get it to a
Exactly.
7th.
or a 6th.
Yeah, that's what you're looking for. But I mean, you're getting calls. They're not saying yes to the questions, so there must be some sort of action back there. But I mean, he's going to be gone. He has to be. Dulcich is taking his job.
But that's
And
not.
he's much better already.
Yes.
That's like the tiniest little thing we're talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
because Alberto's not, for all practical purposes, not on this team anymore. He has 0 impact.
Yep.
The 3 big names that came out today from Adam Schefter is that multiple teams are calling about KJ Hamler, Jerry Jeudy, and Bradley Chubb. And Adam also said that the Broncos aren't going to just give these guys away. They're going to have to get good offers. Well, the more you lose before the trade deadline, the more that kind of hurts your argument a little bit. And so what are we talking for these guys?
First of all, I want to start here. I know everyone wants to trade Jeudy. I think that's a really bad move. And the reason why is because you already have a separation problem with your wide receivers. If you lose Jerry Jeudy, who at least does get separation, you even on the deep throw today, like he beat Sauce. He had a great route on a 3rd down that ended up in a conversion. Like he still does run great routes. If you take him out of that room, you have no one who gets separation. So I don't know. That all I'm saying is it's not just about the rest of this year. It means you're opening up a hole on your roster that you now have to fill in the offseason. So whether that's through the draft, again, with a high value pick, not that you have any, but maybe you get one back for this trade. You're trading Jerry Jeudy. Maybe you get a 2nd round pick. Well, now that 2nd round pick potentially has to be used on a wide receiver.
Yeah.
So I think you're creating a hole that you can't necessarily afford to create. Now, maybe it's a free agent wide receiver, of which there are plenty, and you can find value wide receivers in the draft. It's happening all over the place. But I just think you're opening up a hole there that you don't necessarily want to open up.
Well, the thing is, for me, when it comes to these 3 players, it is 2 things. One, are the Broncos going to tear this thing down more than just this year? Because Jerry Jeudy, you can kind of make the case for Bradley Chubb that if you move on from him, well, it only impacts him this year. They weren't going to re-sign him anyways, which we've talked about and we'll continue to talk about, that maybe that's true, maybe that's not. But Jerry Jeudy, he's on your roster for a couple of more years, and he is part of your future, whether you like him or not right now. But
I mean, he had 7 catches for 96 yards today.
He did. He still did have a drop today. But I agree. But then the other thing with these 3 guys is you have to decide, well, what's the right value? And Ryan, you said a 2nd round pick for Jerry Jeudy. I don't think there's any way that the
No.
Broncos are
And
getting
you just
this.
can't do it.
And
I
so,
would
and so,
take it
and so
if they
that's
did, yeah.
it. Where I'm at right now with these guys is, I am like George Payton saying I'm not just going to give these guys away because the Broncos shouldn't be, and where they are as a franchise, they're not in a position to just tank the next few years. They can't just sell everyone to then get great draft capital and build up in the draft. No, they're not in that position. So saying just get rid of these guys, sell them for anything, doesn't make sense with where this team's at. So good value for Jerry Jeudy. If you get a 2nd, oh my gosh, you run away with that. You feel great about it, but then it still does present the
What are
option,
you
Ryan.
doing?
What are you doing with that? But what it's more likely going to be in my mind is a 4th, a 5th, and then it's like, are you really replacing Jerry Jeudy with a 4th or a 5th round pick? No. KJ Hamler, a 6th, a 7th?
Yeah, I don't know what you could possibly get for KJ.
And so that's where I'm at.
Because I would trade KJ. Like, he seems unhappy.
Yeah.
He's not really like getting. I don't feel like he's being used. I mean, he's just being used to run deep routes at this point, which I feel like other teams would see more value in using him in other ways.
I mean, it's honestly like me and my Madden team when I can't use a guy right, so I'm totally burning him, but no one's offering me anything good. I'm like, well, no, he's just going to burn on my team. I'm not just going to give him away to you.
100%.
That's exactly how this feels. Now, Bradley Chubb's the interesting one. Can you get a 1st-round pick from him? Can you get a late 1st-round pick from a team that's a contender right now that thinks he's the final piece, and then they can franchise tag him after this year? Well, if you do that, now you have a 1st-round pick.
Yeah.
And
If that's on the table, you have to do it.
Exactly. Now, 2nd-round pick, Okay, Baron Browning now has a hip strain, which we just learned from Mike Kliss. Then you kind of have to think about, okay, well, what's the future of the outside linebacker position? Is he in it? Is he not?
Baron?
Yes.
He is.
No,
Oh.
Baron. You have to take that into consideration when thinking about Chubb. Just
Okay,
like
okay.
There you go.
Randy Gregory's hurt. Baron Browning's now hurt.
Yep.
Nick
need depth
Bonito,
at the
we haven't
position.
seen anything. Exactly. So you got to take that into consideration. You don't even think about if it's first, second, third, however far it goes.
Third
down
is
the
an
trend.
absolute no.
Yep.
Second, the problem is it's still a contender, so you're getting a late second.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
probably a no from me, especially, Hank brought up when we had this conversation the first time, you can franchise him next year. It's not a completely lost asset if you don't sign him long term. You can,
And if you don't, it's a 3rd round comp pick. Unless you're going to go get somebody crazy in free agency.
Right. So I am 100% in on a 1st round pick just because you need something to look forward to this offseason, which is like, okay, well, at least we have that 1st round pick where we can plug one of our massive holes. You talk about Madden, I don't like to compare it, but when I do make trades in Madden, it's because I have a surplus at a position, not like the wide receiver group where you have nothing.
Right.
You do have a little bit of a surplus at edge, especially with the emergence of Baron Browning and the contract of Randy Gregory. You'd like to have more, and you'd absolutely keep Chubb if you don't get the value. So that's an easy decision for me.
And
someone wants to overpay a little bit to essentially take their shot at a Super Bowl, fine. Someone, if they're trying to, wrench you, you just say, no way I'm doing this because we have value for him on our team.
And not that George Payton needs this lesson in 2022 football, but your offense needs a lot of help. Your defense is way fine. Your defense can get a little worse next year and still be a great defense and keep you in games. Your offense needs so much help. And that's why I'm kind of at the point now, yeah, you definitely can franchise tag Bradley Chubb. I want that $20 million to go on the offensive side. And so if I can save the $20 million and get probably a 2nd round pick back for Bradley Chubb, you probably do it. But man, is that a crazy realization with George Payton having to look himself in the mirror and say, not only are we like sellers for the rest of this year, but we're kind of sellers for the next, for like a little bit of the future as well, where these trades are going to impact us next year too. That is not where we thought this Broncos team was going to be 5 months ago, 4 months ago, a month ago. The Broncos a month ago were 2-1.
Yep. And even, again, just to circle back to the wide receivers, even getting Tim Patrick back, not a separation guy.
True.
So you would just have no one at that position. No one
Yeah.
in the role of can get themselves open without the throw being in the right spot, essentially.
And that's
if,
why
if you can get a second, you have to do it,
exactly.
though.
Yep.
Like, if you can get a second. I mean,
The only
a 2nd
reason
round receiver would be better than Jerry Jeudy. Like, I don't have much
You
concern
still
there
have to
at
hit
all.
on it.
But
I just don't think
receivers
anyone's
hit
gonna
so
give a
quickly.
second.
That's the tough part. Yep.
I don't think it would either. The reason why I would agree with it is because of taking the second is because when I separate just the play on the field, Jerry Jeudy's had maturity issues and,
He doesn't block.
yeah. So,
Like, there's just nothing on the fringe that adds on top of the whatever 700 yards he's going to put up.
so I can see it. But it just, all I'm saying is just be prepared to now all you did was open up a hole. So you're even the assets that you get are just going to be used to refill the hole that you
True.
just created.
Or just go find a slot receiver. This year it could have been Cole Beasley, who I guess is now out of the
Christian
league.
Kirk,
But yeah, I mean, Christian Kirk was expensive, but yeah. I mean, if
very
there's
expensive.
there's somebody out there, $8-10 million, you sign him. That's a lot of money committed to receivers, but you are where you are right now,
Well, but
And then you have the pick.
I mean, you still do have a Tim Patrick, a Cortland Sutton. It's not like you're giving Russell Wilson nothing.
Yeah, and
At
Greg
the-
Dulcich,
at
who
the
is
yeah.
slowly but surely proving himself to be an asset.
I mean, 2nd leading receiver today in receptions and yards, only behind Jerry Jeudy. So he's turning into to be that. But you need your quarterback not just to be like good. You need an elite quarterback to raise the level of everyone. And I think that's probably one of the biggest disappointments with Russ is he just hasn't done that for the offensive line. He hasn't done that for the receivers. He hasn't done that for the tight ends. He hasn't done it for anyone yet. And again, goes back to the conversation. It's much more than just him. But typically, an elite quarterback does make a bad coach look average, look okay. And we're just not seeing that.
Rare in the NFL, but just brought up in the comments. Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, straight swap.
No, you need more.
You would have to add?
Hey.
Elijah Moore is not good.
You need more.
Oh, you need... Okay, you...
Yeah. Broncos would need more. Elijah Moore's done nothing. He can't separate. He doesn't
Okay.
He doesn't have a...
I
yeah.
honestly haven't watched him enough.
No.
Do you think he flew here?
I wonder.
Jerry could just get on the plane back with the Jets.
Sure. Oh, gosh. Jerry dealing with the New York media would be something.
Would be.
Yeah, I mean, here is the, just talking about this has outlined there's a lot of holes. And it's kind of a leaky boat syndrome. You plug one, you open up another one. You try to get, you're just not like, the fact that you don't have a first round pick this year is such a disaster right now. Or a second. Because it's just, you have these holes. You can try to trade guys away to get yourself assets to plug them, but like I said, depending on who it is, you're opening up a new hole. It's a bad situation, and the only way it gets better is Russell Wilson getting better.
Yeah.
And like I said today, at least gives me a little bit of hope that and I do feel like this is a win situation now. When they change the coaching staff, you might get a better Russell Wilson.
Okay, and let's talk about Russ because Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero reported this morning that he has a grade 2 strain, which is essentially a hamstring tear, a partial hamstring tear. They say that Russ was really fighting to play this week. Nathaniel Hackett pulled him back. Russell Wilson's really wanting to play next week. After the game, Nathaniel Hackett said Russ is trending in that direction to play. What are we doing? You're 2-5. Now, of course, Nathaniel Hackett, if Russell Wilson says he wants to play Nathaniel Hackett, he admitted after the game, there's heat everywhere when asked about being 2-5. He knows that there's heat around him, around the team. But no, George Payton, step in. Don't let Russell Wilson play next week. It makes no sense. This is a multi-week injury, and he will have 3 straight weeks off if he does not play next week. Don't let Russ practice. He is hurt. Ryan, you said it. The best way to turn the season around, but more so just the future of this team starting really next year, is with a healthy Russell Wilson. Do not have him go out there, re-aggravate the injury, only give him 1 week off because of the bye, and then you know what? We're in the exact same place the following week with, by the way, 9 games left after the bye. I think it's above Nathaniel Hackett's head. George Payton needs to step in and say, no, Russ, you are not playing.
I don't know.
The season's over now. I didn't want to come out too strong. I believed it last week. I didn't want to come out too strong and say, just think, what if they went on crazy? 2-5. You're done. Don't hurt treat your franchise quarterback right.
If that's the case, then you might as well just sit him down for the whole season.
No, that's not the case because he's hurt right now. I'm not saying sit him down because he's not good.
No,
this
but I'm
is like
saying,
a 2 to 4 week injury. Give him 3 weeks off, and if he's still not healthy, give him that 4th week off.
But the shoulder injury is also a long-term injury.
Nathaniel Hackett last week was very honest with us about where Russ was with his hamstring. He said his shoulder's totally fine. So he said it's not. That's what he said.
Not?
He said it's not
It
about
could be.
it. So
I don't know. I mean, you got to have some momentum. The goal of this season at this point should be to gain momentum with the offense at some point. Like, figure something out. Have Russ build some chemistry with somebody. Like, you got to come away from the season with something. Otherwise, you're just set so far back. It's like you probably do just rest him next week. It's tempting to say, like, just go out there, see if you can get a win. But I again, without knowing the actual details of the injury, if it's one of those things I say, well, yeah, if he just sits out 1 more week, he's perfectly healthy, by all means, just do that. If they're saying, like, yeah, he might get a little bit better, it also, like, it might not really matter whether he plays or not, like, go out there and get the win, I could see it. Without all the information.
Hamstring, though, I think that's enough information to say that if you go out there, it can get re-injured.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, hamstring.
I don't know.
That's the problem with hamstrings, though, is it's like it's a lingering injury.
Mm-hmm. True.
So I don't know if 3 weeks is enough. I guess my thought is maybe not the whole season, but if you're not playing him this week, then you also have to not play him after the bye if he's still dealing with it. And you're just saying he's down until he's 100% healthy. And I just don't think it's going to happen. I also think that Russ and his people are going to make a bit of a fuss about getting him on the field this week.
Of course.
And I think they'll win that battle.
Well, if that's the case, then boy, I mean, it very well may be the case, but then George Paton's not the right guy either. Because you, at a point, have to be able to tell a player and his team no. At some point in the organization, it has to.
That is true.
And so
Yes.
far, I don't think the Broncos have been pushed to have to tell them no. Outside of this week, they did. Now, maybe this was the first one, so it was a little easier, but I don't think the Broncos ever were worried about Russell Wilson having his entourage in the building and all that stuff in training camp and giving Russ his own. I think they were totally open to that. I think they wanted to, so I don't think any of these things leading up to this has been like the Broncos saying no and Russ saying yes. This next week may be the first situation where they really encounter that.
Sorry, I'm just seeing soccer on the bar TVs. Is it halftime?
No.
No,
Can't
it
be
is not.
halftime.
It is not.
All right.
That was on football earlier.
I know. That's what I'm looking
Yeah.
at.
Yeah.
You guys keep going. I'm
We
just
got,
gonna look
uh,
at my computer here real quick.
Oh, wow. We got 13-0, the Miami Dolphins against Pittsburgh. Let's actually talk to the people right now, but before we do, I have to tell you about our friends over at Hassel Cattle Company. They've got the best meat out there. And if you use the code DNVR20 over at HassleCattleCompany.com, you're going to get 20% off your entire purchase. Hassel Cattle Company, Texas-based company where they raise their meat right there, then ship it straight to your door. It's good enough. They call it the blue-collar Wagyu because it's top shelf and affordable, which is something that you cannot find. And they ship anywhere in the U.S. in just days. So make sure to check them out over at HassleCattleCompany.com and use the code DNVR20 for 20% off.
And also, make sure that you check out our friends over at SportsFan. Some of you are probably out there today at the tailgate. Hopefully you made that quick trip in there because SportsFan has all sorts of cool stuff. They've got those baseball jerseys there, Broncos. They've got a bunch of actual Bronco jerseys. But the thing is, it's all stuff that you can't find in the team's store. It's really cool. I don't know. If I were to get some Broncos gear, I'd definitely be getting it there because it's the best stuff out there. So head on over to SportsFan. Like I said, there's a location on Federal where the tailgate is. There are 2 on the 16th Street Mall. There's 1 in Park Meadows. They're all really good. Make sure you get out there.
And real quick, you get 10% off if you go from the tailgate into the store and buy something. So if you're at the tailgate, go check it out. You get 10% off.
Another reason to
Nice.
go to the tailgate. And Ian B in our comment section saying he forgot Tua was back and he put a ton of money on the Steelers.
Ooh.
Ian probably went over and checked out our friends over at DraftKings to do
Yes.
that. You can probably get in on Steelers money line pretty heavy right now because the Steelers are down 13 points. And if you want to get in on the action of the Broncos next week, 7:30 game in Denver in the morning, you want to get in on Sunday Night Football, you want to get on Monday Night Football tomorrow, go over to DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code DNVR when you sign up because if you place a $5 money line bet on any NBA team, they're going to give you $200 in free bets if that NBA team wins. You could have used that on the Nuggets beating the Thunder last night. You could have used it on the Nuggets beating the Warriors the night before. DraftKings was offering a promotion in that game where if the Nuggets went up 7 at any point in the game, your money line bet on the Nuggets won. That's something that DraftKings does for NBA, NHL. It did for the NFL as well. So make sure to go over. Use the code DNVR over at DraftKings Sportsbook. See the terms in our show notes.
Before we get to the chats, just one question I want to ask you guys. How hot is Nathaniel Hackett's seat? Are we trending towards in-season firing? Like, do you think that's actually going to happen? Or is it just kind of like a fan pipe dream right now because everyone wants, for lack of a better term, blood for this level of incompetence on offense?
I would say probably for the first time, it's more likely it happens in season than it doesn't.
Today, what was brutal and what would
Yep.
lend to Hank's point, the Broncos announced 5,000 something no-shows. It was
That's a
way
lie.
more than that, but the more concerning thing to me was what happened at the end of the game. With 4 minutes left, half the stadium was gone. With 1 minute, with 90 seconds left, and the Broncos having a chance to win the game, tie the game or win the game, there was 10% of people
At
still in the
best.
crowd at best. On the final play, 5% of fans in the crowd. I kid you not, it was that
It's pretty crazy.
And the Walton Penners are at the games, and it wasn't as bad in overtime against the Colts, the Broncos' last home game, but it was still really embarrassing where 50% of the crowd was there at overtime, and that is something that I think could make this happen in the middle of the season. If the Broncos continue in this trajectory of literally losing every game of their past 4, Nathaniel Hackett's not going to make it through the season. I think they're going to just want to give him the benefit of the doubt, though. Look, he got a great benefit of the doubt today. Russell Wilson did not play. And I don't think a firing happens in 1 week from today after they play the Jags, but it's not looking good for Hackett. So right now, I'll say he makes it through the season.
To the commenter, Henry lost a bet. That's why he has the
did lose a bet.
Well, he lost his fantasy league.
By not setting my lineup for at least 4 weeks in basketball.
Excuses.
It's NBA. Nobody pays attention.
Well,
that's unreasonable.
Apparently everyone paid attention a little more than you did.
Well, it was that
true.
combined with the sucking.
Okay. I personally think bye-week firing is very much in the cards.
So 8 days from now.
Yep.
I think it's possible. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's possible.
I think they would say, let's give Evero a run at it. Let's give Kubiak a run at it. What an old Zac Stevens phrase. It can't get worse.
I mean, it really can't.
Yeah, and it would be worth just if you're gonna do it. The old phrase, what will be done eventually must be done immediately. You at least get a chance to give Evero a chance because he's gonna be part, I would assume, of your coaching search.
Think of this.
I can't believe we're going to do another coaching search this offseason.
Sucks. In 8 days, the Broncos could potentially move on from their rookie head coach. Mm-hmm. They could trade away a top 5 pick. They could trade away a top 15 pick, which was viewed by many as the best route runner coming out of college, maybe of all time, and the best receiver in one of the deepest receiver classes of all time. And they could trade away a second-round pick. Think about that. Rookie head coach, top 5 pick, top 15 pick, and a second-round pick. Could all be gone as this team could be 2-6.
Crazy.
And the could-be's don't seem that crazy anymore.
No. And I just have to assume the Walton Penner group is, I don't know, whatever the worst word you can think of in terms of their feeling, disgusted.
And the thing about that is they have to be disgusted also at George Paton because he was the one that made the Hackett hire. He's the one that made the Russell Wilson trade. And those are the two biggest things right now. So if you're the Walton Penner group and you're saying, okay, who do I trust in this organization to help us get us back? Well, it's Damani Leach because you hired him and business side hasn't done anything right now. And then that's it. Then you're going outside of the facility to bring someone in. How much do they know about football? Not much. They kind of admitted that. So it's a very weird place to be. A bad place, I should say.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, when you're a billionaire and you just spent billions on something and it looks like this, not just losing. Losing is one thing, but it's the old phrase, bad and boring. They're bad and boring.
Embarrassing, too.
And embarrassing. And I could just imagine them just tearing the whole thing down, top to bottom.
Yep.
So that is something that needs to be kept a very close eye on.
I can't believe we're here.
I can't either.
I can't believe it. All right.
For what it's worth, I would not fire George Paton.
No, I wouldn't either. If you fire George Paton, I think there's a really good chance George Paton is doing very well somewhere else in 5 years. And you look back and say, why the hell did they do that?
Yeah, I think that would be an emotional, reactionary move.
I agree.
Emotional, reactionary to holding the guy accountable who's made the two worst things that are hurting the Broncos right now?
I would at least see if fixing one of those two things fixes the whole thing.
It'd be too soon to pull that trigger.
I don't think so.
Really? You'd do it?
No, I'm not saying. I wouldn't blame him at all. I don't think it'd be a bad move. This guy just went out on a coaching search and hired Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett, if you want to give him credit for Evero. It wasn't George Paton that brought Evero here. That was Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you really want to look at these things, maybe Nathaniel Hackett's, batting 1 for 2, including himself being the 0 for. Right now, George Paton's really 0 for 2 when it comes to big decisions.
Yeah, but George Payton also brought in Pat Surtain. He brought in Baron Browning.
Yeah.
You know,
that's doing them great as they're 2-5 right now.
That's all he can do,
We've
though.
known that defense doesn't win you games.
but they tried to fix the offense.
Yeah.
Just got it wrong.
Who
Yep.
got it wrong?
George Payton.
There you go.
But
there you go.
It's very
Again,
rare
yeah.
to fire a GM because they made one bad hire.
Yeah.
2.
What's the other bad hire?
Russell Wilson.
But
Nah,
again,
it's
you
no.
have to see if you can fix. You're much better off trying to see if changing the coaching staff fixes Russell
Yep.
Wilson, and then you can keep a GM who's done a very good job in a lot of other categories.
Yep. Anybody would have made that trade.
I don't know. I mean,
I think anybody would've.
Certainly the Seahawks wouldn't have. They were
That is true.
totally out on him.
They couldn't, though. They already had him.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just saying I wouldn't blame the Walton Penner group for doing it. Again, I'm not saying that I would do it, but 0 for 2 on the 2 biggest moves you made this offseason, I think that's grounds for making a change there. Again, I'm not saying I would do it, but that is grounds for it.
Yeah, I mean, how many times did John Elway strike out on moves he made in the offseason?
Yeah.
Yeah, and how was he as a general manager after Peyton Manning left? I don't think anyone defends him, Ryan.
But what I'm
Super
saying is
Bowl.
he got a very long leash.
And did we think that was correct?
I actually said when they won the Super Bowl, you essentially earn yourself a 5-year leash. Now, this team doesn't have that. But it's hard to replace quarterbacks. It's hard to fix those things. I thought George Payton did the best possible move he could have done this offseason to fix that. I think a lot of people agreed. Maybe there's a few that didn't. And it hasn't worked out. But again, try to fix one problem at a time because you're stuck with Russ.
Yep.
So see if fixing the coaching hire, which many GMs have hired bad coaches. In fact, almost all of them have hired a bad coach at some point. And see if that works. I get what you're saying is...
So really quick, would you blame the Walton Penner group for moving on from George Payton?
I'd
Yes.
say they made a mistake.
Okay.
I would say
Yep.
they made that was an emotional and reactionary move.
Okay.
Yep.
But maybe it gets better. What I would guess is they end up getting a worse GM, and then I would really blame them.
Yep.
It could happen, and it's a gamble that you're taking, for
Yep.
sure.
Yep. All right, let's get to these super chats. Oh, first let's start with the poll. Sorry. We did post a poll. Got 500 votes.
The question
we
was,
go.
does Nathaniel Hackett make it through the season? 533 votes. No, got 72% of the votes.
There you go.
Yeah, and obviously that's a little bit more of like probably what people want than what they think. But
It's also very emotional right now,
And
coming
it's just-
off another disgusting performance.
and it's also very telling.
Yeah.
Fan base is done. And I saw that in many different ways today, which is such a bummer. I can't believe we're sitting here. I really can't. It felt like everything was set up well for the Broncos, and they fumbled the bag in a unbelievable way.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it, pun intended, because it all starts with the fumbles in Seattle. I truly believe that like sent them into a different dimension.
And then that just means you don't have the right coaching staff, you don't have the players, you don't have the
Totally.
leaders on the team.
Totally.
All right, first super chat coming in from Matthew says, my boys, sending love from the East Coast. We have all seen the notifications about the Broncos taking calls for Chubb and Judy. In your opinion, do we sell to get draft picks or hold on for the year?
Oh. If you had to guess, obviously you guess Alberto gets traded. Chubb, Judy, Hamler. I'd say one of the three is gone. I'm a lot closer to 2 than 0.
I mean, it feels kind of irresponsible to hold on those guys and not get anything for them, unless you think that the reason everyone is struggling is because of Nathaniel Hackett, and then you should make a move because if you think that KJ Hamler, Jerry Judy, Bradley Chubb are more valuable on your team than a second, 5th, and 7th that you would get back for them, then you clearly think it's a coaching staff.
Yeah. I'll say because I don't think the organization necessarily believes in Jerry Judy. So I think he will be out. And I think that there is a decent chance that KJ and Alberto are also gone. I don't think Bradley Chubb goes anywhere.
There we go. All right, next one from Jeremy says, offense hasn't scored a single point in the third quarter all season. That has to be leadership, i.e. coaching.
I think they have. I think they're averaging like 0.79 points in the third quarter.
I think
they
it's
have
either
3.
Yeah, I think it's either 3 or 6.
I think it's 5, but one was a safety.
There we go. So yeah, they
Yeah.
have. But I mean, we're splitting hairs at this point. I don't think that's just coaching. I think that points to everyone. You can't be that bad and it just be on one part of the organization. I mean, that's on every single part of the offense, every player, and every coach on the offense.
The crazy thing is, it feels like they've been starting with the ball in the second half very often too. But that could just be wrong. I think halftime adjustments are the big piece. Also, when you've only scored however many points all season, like the number's so low that just out of randomness, you're probably gonna have a quarter that's low. Not this low, but I think that combined with the coaching adjustments would be the top.
I think what all of this boils down to, and this is probably the best way for me to say it, instead of saying, I was never saying fire George Payton right now, or that it's not all Nathaniel Hackett. Unfortunately, what we've learned in this 2-5 streak is it's quarterback, it's offensive talent, it's coaching, it's the personnel that you've brought in. It's all part of the problem. You're not 2-5 because just one coach is bad, because Nathaniel Hackett is so bad. Nathaniel Hackett has been so bad, but so has so many other things. And that's the unfortunate thing, because I wish there was one thing to point to and say, it's all Hackett. Yep. Fire him, and you're going to be fine. And that's just the brutal realization that I keep coming to each week after I'm kicked in the gut another time. It's a big issue on offense. The good thing is, it's not an issue on defense. It's a big one on offense.
I do feel, though, that today revealed that offensive scheme, identity, and play calling is the single biggest issue facing them right now. And that gives me a little bit of hope that it can be fixed by changing those positions.
Interesting. I think a quarterback raises the ships from being literally the worst offense in the NFL.
Yeah, and that's why I just think the biggest miss was hiring a whole offensive staff of first-timers.
Yeah.
And isn't that on George Payton too?
Yes.
To be Nathaniel Hackett's boss and say, no, let's bring some guys in, because George Payton realized it was an issue after week 1 and said, oh shit, what just happened in Seattle? It's probably because we didn't have the right things in place. And if George Payton jumps in, because remember, the day after things went wrong in Seattle, Nathaniel Hackett said he was not going to bring any additional help in. What happened 2 days later? Additional help was brought in. Yep. What happened in that time span? He met with George Payton. So George Payton probably said, okay, you need some help here. That's also on George Payton for allowing Nathaniel Hackett to just fully hire his own staff.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad. And I do think that is on George Payton to step in there and say, no, we need some adults in the room.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean that, of course, metaphorically, but it's
some experience in the room.
Yes, experience in the room. And it just, looking back, I think that they believed what we believed, which was that Russell Wilson would essentially make everyone look good, everyone look smart, and, you'll let him kind of run the show and have kind of the Peyton Manning effect, where like Peyton Manning was just getting people hired left and right because he made everyone look so good. Now, we always knew that Russell Wilson wasn't quite the level of Peyton Manning, but I do think that was a belief within the organization is we got Russ. He's got us.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. In hindsight, that just feels so wrong. Like at the time, I would have agreed. But you also look back, it's not like his whole career he's been in elevator. Like he hasn't
Russ?
been the
I think so.
You think so?
I think the Seattle teams the past few years have not been very good. Now, maybe I think everyone kind of thought that. Maybe outside of you, I thought everyone thought that Russ was raising the ship these past few years. And obviously the first 5 years he had a really good defense. He had a really good team. Past 5 years, I thought most people thought that it was all him.
Yeah, but you also, so Tyler Lockett's stats. Let's see if we can pull him up here. It's taking a second. But the thing is, I feel like everybody around him just did what you expected him to do. You have, where'd this go?
I mean, pretty bad offensive line, and he was still able to have a winning record. An awful defense. the past couple of years, and he still has a winning record.
That
Every
one
year
you
but
definitely
one.
can't. That one, the defense you can definitely point to and say like, that was unequivocally bad.
And he was
You know,
still
like,
able to overcome it.
for sure. But that's what I'm saying. The offense is tough because it looks really good with Geno Smith right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, no, but that's hindsight now.
Yes.
Of course,
Yes.
I think that take doesn't look as
Totally.
good now. But I think when the past few years, everyone was saying, man, no wonder Russ wants out. It's
Yeah.
just him out there, and he's doing everything himself.
If you also look back, so Tyler Lockett last year, 1175. That's a big number. Before that, 1054, 1057, 965. Like, that's just what Tyler Lockett does. Like, if you put Tyler Lockett with Peyton Manning, those numbers are 1,400, 1,500, you know? You put Tyler Lockett with Zach Wilson, maybe you dip down below 1,000, 900. Like,
to be fair,
I just
you're talking
don't
about
think...
one player.
Oh, totally. But I think same thing with DK Metcalf. I think all those guys all the way through were kind of who they were. And I wouldn't necessarily say that, like, Russell Wilson really was that big elevator for that whole offense.
I think
Maybe I'm wrong.
Wow.
I definitely-
there's some hindsight.
Really?
That's what I was going to say. Is I
Okay,
definitely
yes.
thought so at the time.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. I said that too.
Well, that's all I'm saying. I think
Yeah.
hindsight, you can now say, shit, look what Geno's
Yeah.
doing.
I know, and unfortunately, it looks like DK took a big injury today, which will hurt them substantially. But they also added Kenneth Walker, who is a beast.
Yep.
Yeah, he is. But Henry, to your point, and if that's the case, and the more we learn, the more it seems like it wasn't Russ wasn't elevating. That's a bad news for the Broncos.
Totally.
That's really bad news.
Yeah, it is.
Next one coming in from Fonzie says Seahawks are gonna draft Bryce Young with our first round pick, aren't they?
I mean, I'd like to say it won't be that high, but I guess I can't say that for
You know
sure
what
at
it is
this
right
point.
now?
I will say 4.
6.
Okay.
The Broncos have the 6th pick in the draft right now, and they are only one loss away. I should say one game away from having the 2nd overall pick.
The other thing with the Broncos is they have like the number 1 strength of schedule. So it's they'll be on the wrong end of all the tiebreakers for a season from a Seahawks perspective.
Right, that's true. The only team that is 2-5 that has a worse draft pick is the Jaguars, who they play next week.
The Jags are an interesting one. I wonder what they're saying over there, because they did hire the adult.
Yeah.
They hired Doug Peterson. That was supposed to be, it feels like that was the anti-Hackett move, right?
Right.
And that's not working either.
They've had pretty much the exact same thing as the Broncos in terms of they've been in every game within like
Yep.
3 or 7 points at some point in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Do the Broncos go back if we see a coaching search, do they just go right back to Dan Quinn, which seemed like their original first choice?
Nope, because you need offense. Your defense is fine.
Interesting.
And you may lose Evero, but you have to get offense.
I mean, I
That's
agree.
The way to lock it down is by just getting the head coach.
There's some belief out there that still was George Payton's first option, and the Cowboys basically just said, like, we'll pay you whatever we have to keep you around.
Pretty damning.
Well, and the Broncos were in a weird position at the time because they didn't have the Walton money at the time. So it's possible. I don't know if that's actually true. That's just kind of a rumor. But
That's
I could
a
see...
pretty shitty rumor to not by you, but no. I mean by like whoever is saying that, because then it's just so undermining Nathaniel Hackett right now, which is so easy. Why didn't this rumor come out a month after Hackett was hired, before everyone knew that Hackett wasn't going to do a good job? It seems too perfect timing.
We
for
do
that.
know that the Cowboys came in with a massive raise for Dan Quinn.
Yeah, a head coach of any team should get more than a defensive coordinator.
Yes, but that's not true
You
of
would
Dan
think,
Quinn.
yeah.
He's making more money than a lot of head coaches.
That much.
Yeah.
It's Jerry Jones. They'll blow the money.
So, or maybe I shouldn't say a lot, but definitely like the first time he's probably making more money than Nathaniel Hackett. So, if I'm George Payton, that's a good rumor for me. Because
course
that's
it
what I'm
is.
telling.
Of course it is.
That's what I'm telling the Waltons is, hey, look, I wanted this guy, but we didn't have any money, or we didn't have the money at the time. I don't know if it's true.
Yeah.
Anyways, if I were George Payton, I would want it to be true, and then
Yeah,
I would
of
say,
course.
let me go hire my guy, Dan Quinn, one of my good friends, who I think is going to do a great job.
And here's why I don't think that's true. Just hearing it for the first time, too, is they didn't even have a second interview with Dan Quinn. When they thought that they were going to lose Nathaniel Hackett, they locked him down right then before Jacksonville could get a second interview. So
Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to breathe life into it. Just kind of having a conversation about what that would mean, and if that's a possibility. The reason I bring it up is because I do think it's a very big possibility that they would go that direction.
It's a great look for George Payton if it's true. All right, next super chat coming in from our guy Brian says, "Thanks for the content, boys. Safe travels in London."
So mad at the Madden League.
Oh no!
All the action on a Sunday when I just can't participate.
It was a lot of action.
Probably intentional.
Yeah, it probably is.
Probably.
Such BS.
Keeping you out.
Brian, I'll hit you up later about that trade we were talking about.
And in the next week, you're shut out for Madden too.
Oh no, the Xbox is coming.
Oh my god!
You think the Xbox
You're
isn't gonna
bringing it
come?
overseas?
I originally wasn't, and then once we got our teams, I just caught the fever again.
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
Ryan was like, "Wow, I don't know if I've actually missed this too much." Oh, now he's obsessed again.
Yep,
It's been a big day.
It's very
yeah.
unfortunate.
I love my team. I can't leave them out to dry.
I'm getting there.
Wow.
I'm getting to loving my team.
All right, Thomas Anderson says, "Sell Alberto and Hamler, heck, even Chubb, because Browning is good. Browning is also hurt now."
It doesn't.
Of course he is.
I have no idea, but it didn't look bad. He was just chilling on the sidelines.
I believe it's a strained hip with what I don't know what that means
I know,
in
I
terms of
just-
a time frame.
I feel like I have a strained hip if I just sleep on the same side of the bed for the whole night. Never turn 30.
I wonder if that's what happened to him.
All right, next one. Valley Bandit says, "Why does this hurt so much? Every week I try to stay positive, but it's hard. DNVR is the only thing keeping me from being depressed. Thanks, guys. Thank you. That means the most. We
Yep.
hear it a lot. I wish we didn't hear it. I wish we heard, man, DNVR makes being a Broncos fan so much more fun because it's already so much fun.
Right.
But you guys really enhance it. But it feels like every week we meet someone who says, man, you guys are the only thing that gets me through these seasons. We appreciate that deeply. I wish
We do.
it didn't have to come to this. I got to admit something on this point.
Oh no.
Didn't feel much
Yeah.
when the fourth down pass fell incomplete.
No.
I told you guys before the Chargers post game last week how much that one hurt,
Yep.
and because that's when I knew it was done.
Yep.
Yeah.
For the most part. And sure, can they get things turned around? Yeah, they can go on a crazy win streak. Still 9 games left. We're going to be here every practice, every game, giving you pause. We're going to London this week. But the more you accept that, the more you're like, damn, that sucks.
Yeah.
It does.
It was a weird feeling because I was thinking about the way I felt in the Seattle game. I mean, I might as well have been shaking. It was so
Yeah.
intense. And today it's like, oh, fourth down, game on the line.
Meh.
Incomplete.
Happened again.
Let's go do the show.
Yeah. I told Zach in like the third quarter, I don't really have any opinions about that game.
That was
It
tough.
was just kind of like, there it is. There's that thing.
Yeah, when Ali asked us who king of the game is, I legitimately had to rack my brain.
Yeah.
Like, who played well? I don't remember.
Yeah.
And
let's
one
hit
person
it.
did.
The DraftKings
For 2
Sportsbook
plays.
king of the
Back-to-back.
game is Draymond Jones with back-to-back sacks. Of course, one that could have been a DJ Jones strip fumble or fumble return for a touchdown. But then on the very next play, the defense bounces back just like good teams, good defenses, good units are supposed to. And when they don't get a call go their way, you just make the play yourself. And Draymond Jones came out with a sack on Zach Wilson, which forced the Jets to punt.
Could you imagine if there wasn't PI on that, what we would be saying about that dropped at Justin Simmons interception?
Oh, man.
I can't believe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Took his
not
eyes
even-
off the ball.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it was right
And
there.
I guess
so easy.
I guess I give him a little bit of a break because he thought I have to score a touchdown for us to win this game on this play.
I mean,
That would
just-
be a crazy thought to have right there.
Let's just talk about a couple of other plays. Jerry Jeudy, a guy that could have been in the conversation for king of the game. Of course, he also has a
Yeah.
drop, which people got all over him about.
Drops happen.
7 catches, you have a drop. It is what it is.
Yeah, you can't have one drop a game, though. But, yes,
If you give him
he had a good
97 a game.
What I will give him
Yeah, I'll take
tons
that.
of credit
Yeah.
for is missing one play after getting absolutely destroyed. That was a hospital ball right there. He was hit so hard, and I wouldn't have been surprised if there was a major injury from that. And then he's back the very next play after taking the mandatory one play off.
I don't know. So I saw someone say it was like remarkable that he got up and ran off the field, and I was just like, I mean, he's a football player. Like,
Yeah.
Still,
it could have
though,
been like broken
to get
ribs.
It was a
or
that
something.
huge hit.
and
It
come
was a
back
huge
2
hit.
plays later, though.
that was
Yes.
impressive. But I I don't know. It was just weird. It was like remarkable for Jerry Jeudy to get up and jog off the field. I was like, well, I mean.
It was kind of interesting. You had back-to-back guys go down because K'Wan Williams went down a couple of plays later on the defensive side. Medical teams go to both, and then they both just jog off. It's like, wait, that's not supposed to happen. Like, you're really happy to see it, but it's just a weird sight to see.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, let me just be clear. I would not have gotten up, so I guess it is slightly remarkable. But I guess I expect it of football players.
Sure. Fair. All right, Cooper says, gentlemen, in my opinion, the problems are coaching, including strength and conditioning, O-line, receivers, and Russ, in that order.
I don't think
hate
the O-line's
that
been
order.
that bad. I don't think it's been that bad.
Today was kind of telling because there were several big passing plays when Brett Rippon had time to hit his back foot, step up, and make a throw, and I was impressed by that.
Okay, Lewis in the Madden League says that he always remembers that this thing that one of the guys from PFF says, and it's every team, or like 90% of teams, think they have a bottom 5 offensive line.
Exactly.
And I think PFF this year, you told me before this game, and
Right in the middle.
no, top 10.
Yeah, no, they were.
A top 10 off. They're like 4th at run blocking
think-
or pass blocking, and then 9th on
Yep.
the other one. And there was another stat that I
Yikes.
saw last week that I quote tweeted, and people hated me for it, but it wasn't a PFF stat. It was something else. It said the
Yeah.
Broncos have like something like a top 7 offensive line. And so
Yeah.
I'm not trying to cherry pick here. I'm just saying there's some numbers that say that it's really just not just as bad as you think. It's actually good.
The thing is, like, when you're getting free runners up the A gaps, that's because the quarterback's not saying, hey, shift inside, somebody block this guy.
Okay,
Like,
but what does it
there's
say when you can't establish the run at all?
No, today it was rough. Today was bad.
At all, really, since Javonte went down.
3.8 yards per carry today.
Yeah, I mean, you had, what, Latavius had 4.4 last week. And for Latavius Murray, like...
Yeah, I don't like seeing
You know?
Latavius Murray run sweeps. I just feel like that's not highlighting
Yeah.
his strengths.
No,
I would
no, I
agree.
don't think so.
Yeah, his strength being his strength.
Oh,
Yeah.
and Latavius Murray also hurt now, an ankle injury.
Oh,
Yep.
And
by the
Mike
way,
Boone.
I know Boone broke one.
And Mike, maybe it's just Mike Boone actually.
we are in a timeline where we're just destined for Melvin Gordon to get the ball as much as possible.
And by the
know.
way, the Broncos play in London this week, meaning it's probably going to be hard to get guys from other practice squads and free agents and bring them over in time and stuff. That's kind of an interesting thing about this.
Probably got to
game.
be making calls tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you're getting anyone on the team playing tomorrow.
No, but they can. I mean, they can fly on a
meet you
plane
over
to
there.
London.
Yeah.
Gonna be a big Divino
They can
Zigbo
come with
week.
us.
Yeah.
We leave tomorrow night.
Just have to star in the vlogs.
Gonna get to the airport extra early just to watch Monday Night Football.
Yep.
Get set up, have a couple beers,
There you go.
watch Monday Night Football, get on a plane, hopefully pass right out
There you go. I love it.
after
Hopefully.
Monday Night Football.
Yes.
Thomas Anderson also says, how realistic is it we make the DC head coach? I think if you're going to make anyone the head coach on this staff, it's going to be him because
Yeah.
you're going to say, we have a great defensive coordinator. Is he a great head coach?
Uh-huh.
He's the one that makes sense to test out.
And I mean, the young coach thing has kind of turned me off. Maybe it's just for the moment. Who knows? The other thing is, like, it's not like Ejiro Evero improved the defense. Like, it's kind
they
of
are
what
improved.
You think it's better than last year?
Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit. There
Okay.
wasn't that much room for improvement, but I think it is better.
And I think Ejiro Evero's done a great job, but, you know, I mean, there's a lot of talent back there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna make a move in season, that would be the person you want to give a look to.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
It would be.
I agree. 19 EHF says, Chiefs fan here. Wow. Hoping you guys get it together. A competitive AFC West is fun to watch. Also, please give a new head coach. Russ ain't the main problem. Get a new head coach because Russ ain't the main problem.
You're a much bigger man than I am.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Chiefs fans, for tuning in.
I would just like to say I hope everything goes wrong for the Chiefs, and you guys should also get a new head coach, just for funsies.
So the Broncos can hire Andy Reid.
But I appreciate the sentiment.
How
And
about
you're- like I
this?
said, you're a bigger man than I am.
The Raiders and Chiefs today outscored in their each one games today. They outscored the Broncos in their past 3 games. Think about that.
Nice.
I'm not just talking about one team in your division. 2 teams
Yep.
in your division outscored you for your past 3 games combined.
Crazy.
Don't love it.
It is. It is.
At least the Chargers got smacked.
They did.
That's funny.
They did.
That is
Orange says Kellen Moore is head coach. What y'all think of that next year?
I'm kind of with Hank. I don't know if I can do first-time head coach again.
I think, well, and I don't want to be in that spot of saying no first-time head coach because
Yeah.
Brian Daboll
Yes.
is doing
True.
a great job. It's just about getting the right guy.
It is, for sure. But I'm just saying, like, my personal feelings, I'm just not going to
Yes.
be as nearly as excited about first-time guys as someone who has a little bit of experience.
I mean, that's completely fair.
Yep.
Mike McDaniel also doing a great job.
Basically, for the same reason you
Or
didn't want
a good
an
job.
old man head coach last time.
Right, just to do the opposite.
Just because you have PTSD from what just happened.
Yep. It's the same reason the Broncos didn't draft Josh Allen.
Also, the Cowboys' offense is not blowing anyone. It would be their defense that
It's
you're
Cooper
so
Rush,
impressed
though.
with.
It was, at least.
Yeah, but I mean, just doing okay. 17 points, 22 points, 25 points, 23 points with Cooper Rush.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next one.
24 points against the worst defense in the NFL today at home.
Gosh. I already have coaching search fatigue.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe it. Schwabi says, I had free tickets to this game today, but made the wise decision and didn't go. I'd rather go to build a bear than watch another 2022 Broncos game.
Those both sound incredible. What is he talking about?
I can't relate to this one.
True.
I will say I didn't actively seek out tickets to this game, which I totally understand anyone who did that. If someone would have said, here, have some tickets, and they were good tickets, I would have gone.
That's kind of what tickets are getting to. Hey, do you want these? It's pretty much free.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
It really is.
And when I say that, I truly mean I can't believe this.
I don't know how many
Yeah.
times in the past 2 weeks I've said I would have never, ever seen this
Yeah.
coming. And I think it was Troy Rank or someone today said, Zach, no one could have seen this.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like bad analysis from one or two.
No.
It was no one could have seen this coming.
Yeah, that's like the only solace because like I've been wrong about the Broncos many
Right.
times.
Right.
Yeah.
But and I'm always just more optimistic than the average person. But at least this time I have like 99%
Yeah,
of people
right.
look as stupid as I do.
Yep, exactly. And even the Chiefs fans feel so bad. They're just like, here's $5. Hope you guys turn it around.
Shout out to that
now
guy,
it's,
man.
Now it's just sad for you guys.
I remember when people got upset that I said they were going 10-7.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild to think about?
Yeah, and you guys were the optimistic people last week, saying they'd be 4-4 at the bye.
Wow. Look at us now.
Crazy.
And I might have been too optimistic. We may sit here in 1 week and say, Zach, what were you thinking? Saying they were going to go 3-5 before the bye.
It's
2-6.
possible. About 50-50.
Yep. And they were underdogs on DraftKings Sportsbook the last time I checked against the Jags.
Insane.
We got another one from Obuwan. Thank you. Says, any chance Hackett is this year's Nick Sirianni?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there is a chance, and that's why the Broncos would give Nathaniel Hackett for the rest of the season and say, look, you've never done this job before. We're going to give you more than just 2 months on the job. Now, at 5 months on the job, if you haven't showed improvement, we're going to move on from you. But it's not entirely out of the picture that Nathaniel Hackett is the head coach next year if he shows improvement in the final 3 months on this job and they say you're trending in the right direction. Why do we want to blow this all up just to start from over again?
Yep.
Not anything anyone wants to hear right
Doing
now.
the like Nathaniel Hackett, Nick Sirianni thing is similar to doing like the Drew Lock, Josh Allen thing.
Yeah.
It's like, can it happen? Yes, but the evidence we have says probably not.
Not worth making the bet.
Yeah, definitely not. And last one from our guy, Jeff, says, at least we have owners now. I don't think they will stand for this. Something's got to give.
We're going to learn a lot about them.
Yeah, someone asked me, everyone that asks me a question, will they fire and do this? I'm like, we have no information.
None.
No information on what this group feels, what they do, who they are, and this will shape our opinions on just about anything that happens after this, know.
Right.
If they make the move, then we'll say, okay, well, they have a little bit of a quick trigger. They're not going to, tolerate a certain level of play. If they don't make the move, then they'll say, okay, well, this is a patient group. They're not going to, jump the gun. They're going to, leave it up to the people in charge of the organization. So we're going to find out a lot.
We are. We certainly are. I think that's it.
That
we hit them all.
Is it from a super chat standpoint. Appreciate you guys. Always here. That it means a lot to us to have you guys to talk to after games like this. Hopefully it gets better. I think it will eventually get better. I don't know how soon it's going to.
Can't get worse.
It always can get worse.
It didn't get worse today.
Yeah.
It did get worse.
Same old Broncos.
The average went down.
It got a little bit worse. But
They scored 9 points 2 weeks ago.
It's worse.
They scored 9 points 2 weeks ago in overtime. They had an extra quarter. So
Don't
yes,
do this
this
fight
was
again.
better.
I disagree. Anyways, that's going to wrap it up for us. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back not tomorrow. I always say we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we are traveling to London.
Yes.
So we will be back Tuesday with you guys. Excited to completely change the vibes up because I know we aren't going to be able to have a bad time when we're in London.
Oh, you
Go,
wait.
baby.
And be sure to catch all of our content. We're going to do daily vlogs. We're going to just be all over social media. So
Yep. Tune in. Can't wait to take you guys on the trip with us, even if you're not actually going on the trip with us. And you still have the opportunity to go on the trip with us if you're going to make it out there. Friday night, Saturday, 2 events on Saturday, the tailgate on Sunday. Looking forward to seeing a lot of you and hoping to see even more of you. So we'll talk to you guys later.